The Tumon Strip, popularly referred to as Pleasure Island, was anything but that on the night of February 12, 2013.
せっかく新婚旅行できたのに、あんまり楽しめなかったかなって思ってます。
Even though we had come here on a honeymoon, we did not have a very good time.
As Daisuke Okawachi testified today on behalf of the prosecution, he says he and his wife were married just 2 days before in Japan and flew to Guam for their honeymoon. That night, the newlyweds were, quote, walking the town on the way back to their hotel when suddenly they saw two bright lights, what appeared to be headlights from an oncoming car.
車を避けようと妻
I
を
tried to dodge the car.
引っ張って避けようと
I pulled my wife to try to dodge the car.
したけど、
But
衝撃、もうすぐ衝撃が来て気づいたら何が一瞬起こったのか分かんない状態でした。
soon after, I felt an impact, and by the time I realized, it was after, and I did not know what was going on.
Although he's not sure if he was directly hit by the car or nearby people, or possibly both, he awoke later in a bush in front of the Globe nightclub, where another Japanese man lay injured on top of him, and Okawachi could see his injured wife crawling to him from the distance. Although the two suffered minor injuries, the night was life-changing for Haruka Nohara, who was visiting the island. As she testified today, she told the court the last thing she remembered was eating dinner at a seafood restaurant with her family before seeing a bright light and waking up in a Japanese hospital. Although her memory of the night is limited, she could point at a photo where her white slipper lay abandoned on the sidewalk in front of the Globe nightclub. It's never stated how she was hurt, but where her slipper was found is where DeSoto drove his car before crashing into the ABC store, darting out of the vehicle and stabbing others.
事件に巻き込まれて、今あなたはここにいます。それだけです。
They told me that you were involved in a crime and you are now here. That was all they told me.
Nohara was hospitalized for 3.5 months with injuries that included bleeding in the brain and fractures through most of the left side of her body. Also taking the stand today was local eye surgeon Dr. Anthony Smith. Smith and his colleague Dr. Charles Flowers were at the Jungle Java coffee shop that night. As they were preparing to leave, they saw DeSoto's car crash into the ABC store.
We saw a gentleman was trying to open the door. I guess he was assuming it was just a regular crash.
Dr. Smith observed the driver coming out of the car brandishing a cleaver and a steak knife before stabbing at nearby people. He and Dr. Flowers are shown in outrigger surveillance footage fleeing the scene with dozens of others, but coming back to tend to the injured. With no medical supplies on hand, however, their assistance was limited.
I saw 3 memorable things. I saw the baby that had been slashed on the face.
Okay,
and he or she was being held by an elderly lady.
Okay, what else did you see?
And I saw an elderly lady, another elderly lady laying on the ground who appeared had pretty much already expired. She had already passed away.
Okay, and was could you see whether she had any injuries or wounds or blood or?
We saw some injuries. I think she was the one that had an injury directly in her back.
Okay.
And then we saw a younger lady who was struggling to breathe, and we actually, sadly watched her take her last breath.
3 people were killed during DeSoto's rampage and close to 12 were injured. He has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. His trial continues Tuesday. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Crystal Paco.